Alright, so we're gonna do floating static routes. So meaning we're backing up WAN paths. So here's a scenario that happens in real networks. Let's say maybe it's at 3 a.m. in the morning, and then Openserve fibre carrying the Johannesburg to Cape Town when links gets cut, probably by cable theft, likely by cable theft, which is unfortunately, but is very common, in our country. So the serial link goes down. So finance PC can no longer reach Cape Town. Now, imagine that the company has a backup LTE connection, maybe a Vodacom SIM card or in a 4G tower at Johannesburg that can reach Cape Town over the internet. But how do we configure the router to automatically use the LTE backup when the primary WAN fails? So the answer is a floating static route. So what is that? The floating static route is a backup static route with a higher administrative distance than the primary route. So in a normal operations, the primary route, say AD1 is preferred, and the floating route is ignored. So it just floats invisibly in the background. So when the primary route disappears, because maybe the WAN link went down and the connected route was removed, so the floating route automatically becomes active because it is now the only route that is available. So the router falls down to the backup. So as soon as the primary link comes back up, then the connected route returns. So the primary static route is preferred, and the floating route goes back to floating. So let us implement this. We're going to add a simulated backup path. So maybe another Ethernet connection from Johannesburg router to the cloud internet router that can reach Cape Town via different paths. So the backup route will have admin distance of 5. So that is higher than the primary router's AD1. So on Johannesburg router, we're gonna just add. So let's just quickly go to Johannesburg router and then enable and then configure terminal. So we've already configured the preferred or the default primary route to Cape Town, and then we need a floating backup route to Cape Town with a admin distance of 5. So it's only used if the primary one fails. So via a backup internet or LTE path. So we can say IP route 10.4.0, which is Cape Town 255.255.255.0, and then 10.200.1, and then 5. So that it's important that you put that admin distance of 5. You see that 5 at the end of the command. So that is the manual configured administrative distance. So we sort of overriding the default AD of 1 and setting it to 5. Now the router has 2 routes to 10.10.4. The primary at AD1 and the backup at AD5. So the primary always wins. All right, and then now we can check by show IP route. All right, so so the floating route is actually invisible as expected. We cannot see it in this table, but it's only one route of 10.10.4.0/24 via 10.10.100.2 that appears. So the floating route at 85 is hidden. Because why? Because the primary exists. So now let's simulate the primary WAN link failing on the Johannesburg router. So while we're here, we can just configure terminal, and then interface serial, so we can just say 2/0, and then shut down. And then end. Now let's go ahead and show IP route again. Okay, we must, it's end, and then show IP route. So you see it now. The primary route to 10.10.4 at 85 points out, it actually shows there. All right, so now the floating routers appeared with a primary WAN link down, so the router automatically fell back to the backup path. So there's no manual intervention, no waiting, it's just automatic. Now let's restore the primary, so we will just configure terminal and interface, and then we're just gonna say no shutdown. So you can just show the routing table again, and then you'll see that the primary route will be back. So I mean, you think about it, cable theft on fiber networks is a genuine threat, right? And it's a significant problem in South Africa. So Openserve, Liquid Intelligence Technologies, Vumatel, who else? Frogfood, they all report regular theft incidents on major routes. So now it's important that you implement floating static routes pointing to LTE backup, connections from Vodacom or MTN, as a resilient measure. So floating static routes are the simplest to implement of this failover pattern. Now let me just give you a systematic approach to troubleshooting static routes. Let me give you a systematic approach to troubleshooting static routing, because you will need this in real life and maybe for the exam if you take the exam. So when a ping across a WAN fails, you must just work through layers. So first you must check if the physical layer is up. So meaning you run show IP route, IP interface, sorry, it's show IP interface brief. So you can see everything is up, right? So if maybe a serial interface shows up or down, so the physical cable is connected, but the line protocol is down. I mean, for serial links, this almost means that the clock rate is missing, or the DC, the DCE end. So you check which router has a DCE cable, and then run clock rate of 64,000 on that interface. All right. So the second thing is the route in the routing table. So we've done that by showing show IP route. So you check if the destination network is missing from the table. You check was the IP route command actually entered, and things like that. So that's the most common mistake, is maybe you typed the static route but the next hop IP is unreachable because maybe the WAN interface is down, so the router just removes the static route from a table if the next hop becomes unreachable. So you need to check the WAN interface status first, then you check the routing table. And then on layer 3 is the return path configured. So you ping the connectivity, maybe you test connectivity, you ping 10.10.100.2, and then you ping 10.10.4.10. So first you test the connectivity to the next hop first, and then secondly you test the connectivity to the remote LAN, and then you use trace route to see exactly where the packet stops. Trace route is your most powerful diagnostic tool for routing. So it shows you every hop in a packet that a packet takes and where it actually stops. So if trace route shows 2 hops and then times out, then you know that the problem is at the third router. So it's the routing table that is missing a return route. Now the most common cause of asymmetric routing failures is that you added routes from Johannesburg to Cape Town, but you forgot the route from Cape Town back to Johannesburg. That's very common. So the ping leaves Johannesburg successfully, but the reply from Cape Town has no route back. So the packet is lost on the return trip. So trace route reveals this immediately. All right, just to recap what we've done. So we started with the problem when links up but the sites unable to reach other, and then we also explained that why the routers only know direct connected networks. We then went deep on how routing works, so the anatomy of IP route command, and why the next hop IP is always the recommended format. So we configured the Cape Town and Durban LAN interfaces with the network of 10.10.4.0/24 for Cape Town, and then 10.10.5.0/24 for Durban. So we sort of continuing with our 10.10.something.0 scheme. So we also added static routes on all 3 routers. So we added a default route pointing to the ISP, which is 0.0.0, enabling internet access for all 3 sites through Johannesburg. And then we implemented a static route with 85 as the LTE backup for Cape Town WAN link. And we also demonstrated automatic failover when the primary link was down. So we added the systematic 3-layer troubleshooting approach and complete the routing table cheat sheet. So our network now is fully connected, Johannesburg to Cape Town, Johannesburg to Durban, Cape Town to Durban through Johannesburg Transit, and then all 3 VLAN subnet reachable from all sites, internet access for everyone. So the next thing that we're going to do on the next lesson, we're going to look at dynamic routing. So no more manual routes. So the routers will discover each other's networks automatically. So adapt when link fails and then choose the best path, all without you typing a single IP route command. So it is one of the most important protocols in enterprise networking. So do not miss it.